My family locked themselves in a fallout shelter 4 years ago. We finally opened the door. I was 14 when the sirens first screamed. I am 18 now, when I put both hands on the heavy steel wheel and turned it for the first time in 4 years. The metal cried out like an animal that had lived too long in the dark. Dust fell in a soft grey ring around my shoes. My little brother Eli held his breath. My sister Mara wiped her palms on her skirt and whispered, "Please, please, please." We had practiced this moment 100 times in our heads. We had never done it for real. For years is a long time to live under a backyard. It is a long time to wake up to the same yellow bulb, to the same calendar with the same careful check marks, to the same rules our father wrote on the whiteboard the night the world ended for us. Rule 1, no one opens the door. Rule 2, no radio. No rumors, no lies from the air. Rule 3, trust the counter, trust the clock. Trust me, he wrote those rules while the emergency alert bled from every device upstairs. He was a quiet man, but that night his voice filled the house. Shoes, on coats, food bins, go. We rushed through the kitchen and down the narrow concrete stairs as if a wave was chasing us. The sirens came through the walls. We heard other people's cars. We heard the sky roar when the thick door boomed shut and the wheel bit into place. The sound outside changed. It did not become quiet. It became far away, like the end of a hallway that never ends. We lived the next day, and then the next. After a week we stopped wearing coats. After a month we named the corners of the shelter, like they were rooms in a real house. The shelf was where we kept the last jar of peaches that we promised we would save for a birthday. The corner was where Eli built a city with bottle caps. The ladder was the silver line that led up to the hatch and to the world that might not be there. Father made a wind-up clock, our son. He made a chart for food. He counted every can with a pencil and a slow breath. He took the radio apart and put the parts into a sealed plastic bucket. "No noise," he said. "The air lies." Mother looked like she wanted to argue, but she did not. She pulled her hair into a knot, rolled up her sleeves, and made a school on 2 crates. Math with chalk, history from memory, English from stories she wrote on paper torn from old notebooks. When we were stubborn, she told us a joke. When we were scared, she took our hands and pressed them to her heart and said, "Feel that. That is what alive is." Sometimes, when the clock said midnight, a soft tapping came from above. We all heard it. 3 taps, steady, then a pause, then 2 taps, as if someone was trying to learn our names through the steel. Father would hold up his palm. We held our breath until the tapping stopped. "Wind," he said. "Pipes shift. Earth moves." He said it so sure that we believed him, because believing him was easier than the other truth, the one with eyes and hands. The counter on the wall had numbers that never stopped changing. It was Father's most important thing, not a Geiger counter. He said this one measured safe days. He had made it before the sirens, back when his workshop still smelled like oil and hot solder. It was simple, with a red wire and a tiny screen, and he believed in it more than he believed in Windows. When the counter reads 0, he said, on the 3rd month, we can talk about the door. He said the same thing on the 6th month, and the 12th, and the 2nd year. Each time the number never reached 0. It jumped, it slowed, it fell toward 1 and then climbed back to 27 because of a flare or a spike or someone, somewhere doing something stupid. We learned to stop asking, we learned other things too. We learned how to stretch beans for ways. We learned to save water in old jars and to keep the floor clean, because a small space becomes a bad space if you do not fight for it. We learned to pretend the ceiling could be a sky. On my 17th birthday, Mother opened the shelf and handed me the last peaches. She cried while we ate them. The syrup tasted like July. Father got sick in the 4th winter. It was not one big thing. It was a slow kind of falling. His hands shook when he counted beans. He slept sitting up because lying down made him cough. He tried to pretend, but we are not blind to the people we love. When he died quietly. Mother wrapped him in the old blue blanket and kissed his forehead like he was a child she was putting down for a nap. We could not bury him. The ground was above us, cold, locked. We cleaned the storage room. We made a place. We lit 2 candles and told stories until the wax was gone. I found a folded paper in his pocket. It was the rules, again, written smaller, with one more line added in a shaky hand. Rule 4, if the counter lies, you must not. 3 weeks after Father left us, the counter on the wall did something it had never done. It burned down through the last numbers, stuttered, flashed, and then sat on a perfect, simple 0. No spike, no jump, just 0, like a door with no lock. We stared at it for a long time. I do not know if we were waiting for it to change or waiting for courage to look like courage. We talked all night. Eli wanted to wait one more day. Mara wanted to see stars. Mother listened to both, and then she looked at me. You're the oldest. Now, she said, you choose, and I will stand with you. I wanted to say I was not ready. I wanted to say I was still a boy in a too small world. But fear is a room too, and I was tired of living there. We open at noon, I said. My voice shook, but I said it again until it didn. Single quote, tea. The water boiled for tea, the clock's slow hand, the rust flaking under my fingers, Eli whisper, counting as if numbers could guard us. When I turned the wheel, it turned. When I pushed the hatch, it moved. A wave of air came down the ladder, not hot, not cold, just big. It smelled like dirt, like leaves, like something I had only seen in a picture. Mara put her face to the air and laughed, a small, wild laugh that made my chest hurt. I climbed first. The ladder felt taller than it ever had. My shoulders reached the square of pale light. I blinked. For a second the world was only white in shapes. Then it became a yard. Our yard, not the same, but still ours. The grass had become a tall, soft sea. Vines had curled around the old apple tree and tied it to the fence. The sky was a plain blue, no smoke, no second sun, no black cloud with teeth, blue. I started to cry, and I did not try to stop. I put my palms on the ground, and the ground was warm. We came out like people who had never learned how to be outside. We touched the porch rails. We touched the wall where the height marks were. We stood in the driveway and looked at the street. It was a normal street on a quiet day. The air was humming. It took us a minute to see the small drone hovering above the telephone pole. It took it a minute to see us, too. The drone tilted. A lens glittered. It made a sound like a startled bird and shot away. 3 minutes later, a car turned the corner, braked hard, and sat there, engine running, as if the driver had found a ghost. The door opened and Mrs. Jensen stepped out, older. Then in my memory, hair more grey than gold. She covered her mouth with both hands, and then she was running. And then she was hugging Mother so fast and so tight I thought they would fall. Are you, she kept saying. You're here, you're alive. Oh, thank God. We thought she looked at me, at Mara, at Eli, and her eyes filled. You were the story that never ended. We learned our story in pieces, like a puzzle spread across a table. The siren 4 years ago had been a drill, they said, a test that turned into a mistake. Someone hit a wrong key, someone else did. Not catch it in time. The alert said not a drill when it was a drill. It sang for 17 minutes. The world panicked for 20. People ran to basements, to schools, to churches. Then the alert ended. People came out. The sun was still the sun. The wind was still wind. The news talked and talked. For a few days everybody was angry. Then everybody was tired. Life moved forward, as it always does.